Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Shirati Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya 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 Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva 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 Jaya Guru Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nasta Presho Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. So continuing the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 28, entitled Kapila's Instructions on Devotional Service. Stitam vrajatam asinam, Shritam vrajantam asinam, Sayanam vaguhasayam, Sayanam vaguhasayam, Prikshaniyehitam dayek, Prikshaniyehitam dayek, Chudha bhavina chitasa, Chudha bhavina chitasa, Stitam vrajatam asinam, Sayinam vaguhasayam, Prikshanihitam dayek, Chudha bhavina chitasa, Stitam vrajam tam asinam, Sayinam vaguhasayam, Prikshanihitam dayek, Shidha bhavina chitasam. Stitam, standing, vrajatam, moving, ashanam, sitting, shyanam, lying down, va, or guha asham, the Lord dwelling in the heart, prekshanya, beautiful, hitam, pastimes, dhyaya yet, he should visualize, sudha bhavina, pure, se tasa, by the mind. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, always merged in devotional service, the yogi visualizes the Lord standing, moving, lying down or sitting with him. For the pastimes of the Supreme Lord are always beautiful and attractive. Translation again. Thus, always merged in devotional service, the yogi visualizes the Lord standing, moving, lying down or sitting within him. For the pastimes of the Supreme Lord are always beautiful and attractive. Purport. The process of meditating on the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within oneself and the process of chanting the glories and pastimes of the Lord are the same. The only difference is that hearing and fixing the mind on the pastimes of the Lord is easier than visualizing the form of the Lord within one's heart, because as soon as one begins to think of the Lord, especially in this age, the mind becomes disturbed. And due to so much agitation, the process of seeing the Lord within the mind is interrupted. When there is sound vibrated praising the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, however, one is forced to hear. Excuse me. That hearing process enters into the mind, and the practice of yoga is automatically performed. For example, even a child can hear and derive the benefit of meditating on the pastimes of the Lord simply by listening to a reading from the Bhagavatam that describes the Lord as he is going on to the pasturing ground with his cows and friends. Hearing includes applying the mind. In this age of Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya has recommended that one should always engage in chanting and hearing Bhagavad Gita. The Lord also says that the Mahatmas, or great souls, always engage in the process of chanting the glories of the Lord. And just by hearing others derive the same benefit. Yoga necessitates meditation on the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, whether he is standing, moving, lying down, etc. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation again. Thus, always merged in devotional service, the yogi visualizes the Lord standing, moving, lying down or sitting within him. For the pastimes of the Supreme Lord are always beautiful and attractive. Om Jnana-tamarandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshu Ummilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but by the mercy of my spiritual master, he is kindly forcing open my eyes with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Namo Om Vishnupada Krishna Pista Burle Srimati Tamal Krishna Goswamin Iti Namane. So in this age of Kali, our minds are always disturbed. We are troublesome, fearsome, fearful. So while we're in this Kali Yuga, we can see the nature of our mind. It is very difficult for us to sit in these pranayama sanas for a long length of time and stay there without moving and just focusing the mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because our minds are always disturbed. So this is one of our downfalls in this age of Kali Yuga, is that our mind is always disturbed. Whether it is something that is wrong with our body, a health issue, or a financial issue, or an issue with the nation, or an issue with the whole planet, there is always something there to disturb us, or apparently disturb us, because when we seriously apply the instructions that have been given here by Lord Kapiladev on controlling the inward and the outward breath and focusing the mind, we find that when we do actually attempt to do this, we find that there is definitely a peaceful state that can be found within. We can find that peace within ourselves if we are able to subdue the mind and the senses and bring everything under some sort of control by this breathing process. So we know we can get some sort of tiny glimpse of what it is to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead within. Because that is, we understand He is residing there within our hearts. So, we are encouraged to, remember the Lord within the heart, as also the internal guru, as well as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Lord is there within our heart to guide us and to protect us also. So this is an aspect that we have to meditate on, but what is even sweeter than meditating on the Lord within the heart is remembering these pastimes of the Lord in the land of Vrindavan. The sweet pastimes between Radharani and all the gopis, and how they make so many plans on how to meet Krishna on the bank of the Yamuna, or sneak away in the middle of the night on a full moon night, or witness Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill. All these wonderful pastimes, these loving exchanges that are going on between Radha and Krishna are very, very sweet. So to remember those pastimes that are going on in the land of Vrindavan, to hear these pastimes regularly, to read Krishna book, in this way, we can overcome our disturbed mind, and we can remind ourselves, with this transcendental knowledge, that hey, whatever is going on within my mind, whatever is going on within my body, soon it will come to an end. And we understand that while we're in this mind and body, within these material elements, we are going to be miserable. As long as we're identifying with the mind and the body, there's going to be some misery there, because it's not a very the future is not very bright. The future is actually very bleak for the body and the mind. It's a very bleak outlook. The time factor is going to take everything away. So we have to enlighten ourselves and enliven ourselves by reminding ourselves that Krishna is within our hearts. He is within everything, and He is there, or He can actually protect us in such a wonderful way. We can be protected from all the dilemmas simply by this smaranam, by this remembering process. The Lord will assist us on our path back to Godhead. So we have to become somewhat disgusted with the material situation, have a bit of distaste there for it, so that we can direct our mind towards the sweet pastimes and the sweet form of the Lord, so that we can hang on to that, and we're not constantly thinking, maybe there's something else that is sweeter. Maybe if I go looking, I will find something that will satisfy my mind and my senses. No. The mind, or the instructions that we are being given within the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam are encouraging us to become more and more detached from our material situation, but not in a false way. We have to go through the process of married life. Generally, most of us go through married life. So we have to go through life, and when we do go through life within the Grihastha ashram, we learn so many lessons as we go through life. The ups and the downs in life. We see that. When we're first a new devotee or a young brahmachari, we may not be so wise to the ups and downs of this material world, and how cruel they can be. There can be some very cruel lessons learnt in this material world, and these are like the waves in the oceans, explained to be like the waves in this material ocean. There's sometimes it can be very peaceful and calm, And sometimes there can be raging storms and you can have huge waves bearing down on you. So this is the nature of the material world. We have to accept that it'll always be like that. We're always going to experience the waves and the tossings of the ocean in this material world. It's just a matter of how equipoised we are when these big waves come along. You know, are we going to be like Kadama Muni? Are we able to tolerate, or tolerate the what's the word? The waves of the material world. They can come smashing down on top of us. You're not hearing? Okay, I'll bring closer. Hari? I think there might be some problem actually with it. So, we have to become disgusted with the proposition of trying to remain in this material world, trying to be happy in this material world. We can be somewhat comfortable, but we should not have any great plans to stay here and Hare Krishna, and remain here. Our plan should be to get out, and the plan to get out, we have to focus our mind on the Supreme. Because our mind is what is going to carry us to our next destination. So we have to focus our mind, or absorb our mind more and more in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as Prabhupada was saying here, it's very nice, this hearing process. This hearing process is very beneficial for us in this age of Kali. All we have to do is come, put ourselves in front, and just give this oral reception. That's all we have to do. It's very, very simple. Just come and listen to the pastimes of the Lord, the pastimes of Radha Giridhari lifting Govardhan Hill, or the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, and how he was so absorbed in the pastimes of the gopis, and how sweet those pastimes actually are. You know, we have to, hear. It's all we've got to do. A very, very simple process, just this hearing. Come, sit, hear, and in this way, we will cleanse the heart just by the hearing process, just by me sitting here and speaking. You know, it's not that I am some elevated soul, I'm just like everybody else, conditioned, but by speaking or by hearing, we both get the benefit. And the benefit is this Chetal Darpana, cleanse the heart, so that it becomes to a state where we can remember the Lord within. And we can remember the deity form as we go through our activities during the day. And so this smaranam, this remembrance, will become more and more. And then we hear of this, as mentioned was in this verse here, this Sudha Bhava. Sudha Bhava is translated as pure. So this is what we are trying to aspire to. We are trying to become, pure devotees, but even just pure within ourselves, so that we have this pure heart, so that we are not letting the mind create unnecessary sense gratification. It's just that we are accepting in the pure state of form, we only want to accept that which is connected to Krishna. So Prabhupada would encourage, take Krishna Prasadam. Like that. So in our lives we try more and more to, offer everything to Krishna. That is one of the practices that we have as a devotee, is whatever we cook, whatever we eat, whatever we offer or give away is an offering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are not making separate plans to do something separate from Krishna. We've tried that for many, many lifetimes, to try and do things separate from the Lord. And we can learn so many lessons within the Srimad Bhagavatam of even Lord Brahma and Lord Indra trying to do things separate from the Lord and suffering as a consequence. They're trying to make a material situation where they can enjoy separately. Well, not so much I would say the Indra and Brahma are trying to enjoy separately, but they're trying to arrange their material situation so that it is how they want it to be. But during that process of trying to arrange the material situation to be to their benefit, they suffer so much. And there is a verse in the Bhagavatam, I just haven't had time to study for this class, but there is a verse there that mentions the more we endeavour for material enjoyment, the more the suffering will come. So if we are really pushing, we are encouraged not to over-endeavour for that which is difficult to obtain. We should only endeavour for what we need to for maintaining our bodies in a fit, healthy state. We shouldn't over-endeavour for, large, vast amounts and have great big plans on how we're going to create a very nice situation for ourselves. That will come automatically due to our karma. Our karma is there. We have done so many activities in our past lives, so our destiny is already written as soon as we take birth. When we take birth, the astrologer gets out and calculates this person's life is going to be like this, this and this. And we can see that in the Krishna book also. The astrological calculations were made for Krishna, and it was foreseen the great activities that he was going to perform. So similarly for us also, our good and our bad karma have been laid out to some degree, but now that we are surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can also intervene, because Krishna is saying that the devotees are very dear to him. So we are just trying to become a servant of the devotees. We are trying to please the devotee of the Lord, like that. So by doing this, Krishna also is able to intervene and make adjustments in our life so that we can go through life a little bit smoother, maybe. Sometimes maybe Krishna may even make it a little bit more rough so that we surrender more, because we might be hanging on to something that is holding us back from making more steps closer to Krishna. So Krishna may intervene, take something away from us. And it is actually said there in the Bhagavatam that this is what the Lord does. Hari, he takes it all away. But is he really taking it away? No. He's not taking anything away. He's giving us the opportunity to go back to Godhead. And that is the greatest thing. So take away all the material necessities that are there, all the excess. Take away everything that is excessive. Just leave us with the bare minimum so that we can make rapid progress on this path of going back to Godhead. And we can do it in a very peaceful mind if we're able to just simply remember these pastimes of the Lord. Remember how wonderful Krishna is, how beautiful Krishna is, how intelligent and how cheeky Krishna can be. And then we can think of Radharani also, her beauty and her qualities. And in this way, we can become satisfied that, yes, I want to team up with this team of Radha Giridhari. I want to be on their team. So if we can become more and more convinced by coming and hearing more and more, by hearing more and more, we'll become convinced more and more that actually this is what I want to do with my life. I want to dedicate this life to remembering Krishna so that at the time of death I can go back to Godhead. I was going to say make progress, because sometimes I was speaking to one devotee yesterday and he was just satisfied to make progress on this path. He was not even aspiring to go back to Godhead at the end of this life. He was just thinking, at the end of this life, as long as I can make some progress and maybe get into a good situation for my next life to perform devotional service. But we should be enthusiastic to go back at the end of this life. We should dedicate our lives fully so that Krishna will be obliged to assist us to go back to Godhead at the end of this life. It is very possible. It's just a matter of whether we have enough what's the word I'm after? Enough belief in ourselves. Do we believe that we can do it? We should have the belief. We should really, not so much that we can do it, but we have the belief that the mercy from the Parampara, the mercy from the deities, the mercy of the devotees, they can make it possible. It's by their mercy that it is possible. It's not by my own endeavours or my own attempts. It is by the mercy coming down through the Parampara, the mercy coming from the devotees, the mercy coming from the deities, that all this mercy is making it possible for me to remain a devotee. So if we see it in that light, that actually we are dependent on the mercy of the devotees. That is what we are depending on. So we've got to take those opportunities to do service, so that by our doing menial service to the devotees, that is an opportunity for us to make advancement. It is not that I can just do it on the strength of my chanting. My chanting is so great and so pure that I don't need to serve the devotees. I am already a Mahatma. I will just make my own path back to Godhead. No, this is not encouraged. This is called pride. So pride is something we have to look out for. We have to be dependent on the mercy of the devotees. And by doing that, we'll come, we can hear, we can serve, and in this way, this will be pleasing to Krishna. It is not about us being someone great, it's about us being a menial servant of the servant of the servant. And this is the sure way to go back to Godhead, to receive the mercy coming down through this parampara system. And that mercy comes also in the form of instructions. So these instructions are here in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada has given us so many instructions on how to purify our lives and how to make an easy way back to Godhead. Very, very easy, simply by this process of smaranam. Okay, I'll leave it there, I'll just read the translation. Thus, always merged in devotional service, the yogi visualizes the Lord standing, moving, lying down or sitting within him, for the pastimes of the Supreme Lord are always beautiful and attractive. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, comments? No? Everyone's convinced? Jai? Okay, so we can all just go throughout the day trying to please the devotees, pleasing the Lord, and in this way our life is very much perfect. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki